Hi everyone, in part 1, we saw how Toyota helped Joby's weakest part, which is the mass production. Joby lost some control, but they received the money and the brand power and the mass production skills from Toyota. I said I believe this was the fair trade. But even the best air taxi company, if there is no customer, there is no value. So in part 2, we'll see how Joby brought Delta in their business as a partner and investor. Okay, then let's get started. Delta carries people by airplane. Joby's air taxi also carry people through the air. At first, it seems like Joby is a biggest driver for Delta's short trips, but Delta did not try to stop Joby. Instead, Delta invested in Joby and became its only major airline partner in the US and UK. So why did Delta put money into Joby? I believe Delta did not see Joby as a rival. It saw Joby as a new way to bring more customers to Delta flight. First, let's look at the deal between the two companies. In 2022, Delta and Joby announced a long-term business and service partnership. The main idea is called Home to Seat. It connects the full trip from customers' home to their seat on a Delta plane. The two companies plan to link their booking systems so Delta customers can book both their airline tickets and Joby rides to the airport in the same process. One important point is that Joby is not limited to Delta customers. Joby can still sell rides to the public through its own app or through other services such as Uber or Lyft. However, among large scheduled airlines in the United States and United Kingdom, Delta is Joby's only airline partner. Delta also chose Joby instead of another air taxi company. In the United Kingdom, Virgin Atlantic is also part of this partnership. Delta owns 49% of Virgin Atlantic. The first term of the deal lasts for 5 years after paid service begins. If both companies agree, they can add 2 more 2-year terms. That means the deal could last as long as 9 years. However, if Joby does not receive the needed approval or fails to begin service on time in a certain market, Delta may be allowed to end the exclusive deal in that area. So why did Delta choose to work with Joby? The first reason is that Joby's air taxi is not meant to replace Delta's long flights. Joby is not trying to fly people from New York to LA. Its first goal is to connect cities with nearby airports, such as Manhattan to JFK Airport or downtown LA to LAX. In other words, Joby is not taking customers away from Delta planes. It is helping customers reach Delta planes faster. A taxi or Uber is not a real rival to an airline. In the same way, Joby is not taking Delta's main business. It is more like a new airport ride that connects customers to Delta flight. The second reason is that Joby can fill the last gap in Delta's customer service. Delta can manage the seat, flight staff, airport lounges, and boarding process, but it cannot control the trip from customers' home to the airport. In cities such as New York and LA, heavy traffic can make the trip to the airport take 1 or 2 hours. Even if you buy an expensive business class first class ticket, getting stuck in traffic can make your trip stressful from the start. Joby could solve that problem. If customers can choose a Joby air taxi while booking a Delta flight, Delta will no longer manage only the trip from one airport to another. It could help manage the full trip from a customer's home to the final destination. Delta is first aiming at high-paying customers who care more about saving time than finding the lowest price. The deal says the two companies plan to focus first on Delta's high-end customers. They also plan to look at ways to connect SkyMiles account with Joby, offers miles for Joby ride, and give Delta customers special deals. The third reason is that Delta can enter this new market with much less risk than it would be faced by building its own air taxi. If Delta tried to develop its own electric aircraft, it could need to spend huge amount of time and money. By working with Joby, the risk building the aircraft and receiving approval stays with Joby. Delta can focus on what it does best, serving customers, working with airport, managing safety, running booking systems, and building its brand. Joby provides the aircraft and flight service, while Delta provides customers and its airport network. So where will the service begin? In the US, New York and LA were named as the first main market. Delta has already spent a great deal of money on airports and terminals in both cities. They also have many high-paying travelers and very heavy traffic. In New York, the clearest planned route connects JFK to Manhattan. In 2026, Joby carried out test flight from JFK to downtown Skyport, the West 30th Street heliport, and the East 34th Street heliport. Joby's plan is to connect Lower Manhattan and Midtown with JFK in less than 10 minutes. A car can often take 60 to 120 minutes, while Joby says the flight could take about 7 minutes. In LA, one of the main planned routes connects LAX with downtown LA. Joby says the flight could take about 12 minutes. However, unlike New York, the exact first takeoff and landing site and the start date in LA have not been fully decided. For now, the main plan is to connect LAX with the city, while the exact landing network still needs to be set. In UK, Virgin Atlantic will work directly with Joby. The first main areas are expected to London, Heathrow Airport and Manchester Airport, which are both major airports for Virgin Atlantic. Joby has shown two example routes. One is an 8-minute flight from Heathrow to Canary Wharf, London's main business area. The other one is the 15-minute flight from Manchester Airport to Leeds. A drive from Heathrow to Canary Wharf can take about 80 minutes, so Joby hopes to cut their trip to only 8 minutes. The UK service is an extension of the earlier deal between Delta and Joby, with Virgin Atlantic added as a partner. Since 2022, Delta has invested a total $130 million in Joby stock. For Joby, the value is not only money from each ride. Joby also gets direct access to Delta's large group of high-paying customers. It can also use Delta's demand estimate to decide how many aircraft to place at each airport. Under the deal, Delta and Joby will regularly update their estimate for customer demand and the number of flights needed over the next 12 months. This means a young company with almost no current customers can receive both customer data and a sales network from one of the world's leading airlines. Delta can also make airport travel easier, keep high-paying customers loyal, and bring more people to Delta flights. Think about flying for 2 or 3 hours, landing at LAX or JFK, and then having to drive for another 2 hours just to get home. That would be very stressful and tiring. Because of this, the biggest value for Delta may not be the direct money it receives from Joby bookings. The biggest effect could come from busy customers choosing Delta over another airline because Delta offers a much faster trip to home from the airport. Delta understood that it could not stop the air taxi market from opening. So before another airline took the lead, it made more sense to bring Joby into Delta's booking system, SkyMiles program, and airport network. Delta did not simply join the market before it was hurt by it. So Toyota helped the Joby's supply problem, and Delta is helping the Joby's demand problem. I see the Delta deal as a clear strength for Joby. Joby has not even started full paid service in the US, yet it has already gained access to customers' booking system, airport skills, and money of the biggest airline in the world. Very few young companies can do that. Joby now has a factory and customers. What they need more? It needs a government approval to fly in the real world. In part 3, we'll look at why the US government and Dubai government are supporting the air taxi industry and what the government support could mean for the Joby's business. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked today's video, please hit the like and subscribe channel. I'll come back with the next episode. See you in the next video.